business committees. The ball is now rolling, and that forms the basis of our discussion tonight to assess the state of politics. And joining me is our political analyst, Kotonde Kotonde. Thank you so much, Kotonde, for dedicating your time for this discussion.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, Kotonde, let us now get the ball on its place. So we are looking at the Kenyan political scene. We have seen in the rush for the government to probably fulfill the promises that they made to Kenyans for the first 100 days. You've seen the President, William Ruto, having a lot of state visit in other foreign countries. And of course, you have also seen the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, launching projects here and there. So it's been really a busy schedule for the leaders, probably in attempt to, deliver the promises they made to Kenyans for the first 100 days. But what we saw today is the leader of opposition now, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, saying that the president used deception with a lot of promises to Kenyans, and he might not be able to deliver most of them within the first 100 days of office. So we're seeing just a lot happening. Of course, the checks being kept on the government within these first 100 days in government. So what really do you make of the situation that we're seeing in the Kenyan political scene?
First of all, just to remind Kenyans that we must be ready to prepare our minds for very tough times ahead. Two, the country, as we speak, we are economically down.
Yes.
Based on the fact that we were hit by the COVID, and also we had an election the following year. Thirdly, the government of the day gave promises which were, like today I had the Deputy President saying very well that they were elected fully because of their manifesto.
Yes.
As we speak today, their manifesto is not coming forth because they said within the few days in office, we must expect the prices of unga to be low. The common mwananchi's life must go down, but it has not been going so. We must embrace ourselves for tough times ahead, because in new government, new systems must be put in place, whereby what is really eating our economy today is the corrupt leaders and the corruption cases. The current government must try to at least try to work on those who have cases, to at least tell Kenyans that we are really trying to adjust properly so that we weed out those who are not properly in the office, like the case of Kipipiri MP, yes, Amos Kimunya, and then we also have the Major Waluke, just to name a few. Though we must, the bottom line is we must be ready to prepare for tough times.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of adjustment must be done in the next 100 days. Just as was said by
the
Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga today at Jivanji. The government is also there to be questioned, right? Like, he really talked about the GMO.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that is the bottom line of course, the question that have been the pokes that we are seeing now in the government. Leaders and civil societies, of course, have raised a lot of questions concerning the move by the government to lift the ban, the 10-year ban, of course, which was implemented in the year 2012. Now, in 2022, the government has lifted the embargo on GMOs. And now, the big question that, of course, we've even had with the CSOs asking is why did the government really rush to lift this ban? Because on the other side, the government saying that they have subsidized the cost of production. They have subsidized fertilizers. They are going to subsidize the seeds for the farmers. And on the other side, now they are bringing in they're lifting the ban on importation of the GMOs and of course opening doors for even for the cultivation of these GMOs. So what do you make of this move that was initiated by the government that has really raised questions on the political scene as well?
First of all, I want to say that the government did a very bad thing timely. One, for any activity to be done in the country that affects the lives of every Kenyan, there must be a good process. Like the president did organize for a stakeholders or task force to at least foresee the CBC. The same ought to have been done by the very government to at least bring the task force to at least see the reasons as to why the GMO was banned and the reason as to why it should be lifted. If you leave that aside, for this GMO to fully be accepted, public participation ought to have been done. Scientists ought to have been involved. Research institutions like Cambridge ought to have been involved in the same, such that the time the consumption of this product will be reaching the common mwananchi, it will be having no issues to do with maybe some doubts coming from the importers. Thirdly, the government have also decided to at least lower down the fertilizers. That's not bad. But once the production is fully done, who will be the best consumers of this product? That is a question which the government should even answer to the common mwananchi, mama mbogas and the watu wa boda boda and all those stuffs. The reason as to why, in my own thinking, the embargo was lifted by the government, one person is behind this. We have these persons, we call them cartels. Maybe there's some cartels who are really working on this stuff and they have cornered the government to the level that the current state of events, the current government must accept it to at least allow the government, allow some persons in the name of cartels to at least do business. Fourthly,
I don't know, maybe just to interrupt you on that. Of course, when you talk about the cartels, and the cartels, we are seeing they had a lot of grip in the previous governments. And when this government was taking oath during the inauguration, we had the statement that was given by the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua that one thing about their leadership in their governance is that they're going to free this country from state capture. So, is it anything to go by? Is it does that insinuate that probably this country is still in the grips and strong grips of probably these cartels?
We can't say that we can run away from the cartels because even in the well-developed states, we have cartels running the economy. But as much as the Kenya Kwanza government, the key stakeholders were saying that they will be weeding out the cartels, a good number of them are also cartels. They are just using the same name because how come it has not even taken 100 days yet the embargo which was then from 2013 to now has now been lifted? Meaning within the very government we have key cartels running this show, and therefore they saying that they will be weeding the state cartels in the country. I think that's a big no. And that was just a sideshow to at least cheat the common mwananchi that we will be weeding out the cartels. Yet it is something not coming to pass. That's why I was saying in the same take under the GMO, we have very great cartels running from even the entire well-developed states. But I fail to understand why countries like Europe states, most of them have not accepted the fact that GMOs are good.
Yeah.
Because they know they have detrimental states into the common mwananchi. But I don't know why the rush in our country.
All right, and maybe on the very same note, in as much as yes, most people don't really understand due to the checks that we did, of course, with the public. Some people seem not to understand what these GMOs are, and for some people have a layman understanding of these GMOs, and they are saying that borrowing from the experience we had with COVID-19, it's because the people in the foreign land, in the foreign countries, most of them abroad, of course, in the Western countries, because they are the major exporters of this GMO technology, and of course even the crops, and some of them probably rely on them. Unlike in the African continent, where we relied much on the organic foods, is that the effects of COVID-19, where we saw a lot of people dying in the Western countries, could be as a result that they relied much on these GMOs, and like for us in the African countries, we relied on these organic foods. So are you also probably on the same line of thought?
First of all, to bring it closer to the common mwananchi, mama mboga,
yes,
GMOs, these are stuffs which are like added into the feeds to at least boost their time frame when it comes to maybe let's take the case of a maize. You want to plant a maize. For it to do well before the normal stipulated time, you'll automatically use boosters.
Right.
These are the very, very GMOs we're talking about. In Africa, we've been so much into the organic part of us.
Yes.
And I think and I believe that the natural foods we've been taking are the ones which have really kept us away from the just concluded, or rather still going on though, in a limited state, the COVID state.
Right.
Therefore, the GMO, they have detrimental results on our immune system.
Yes.
And therefore, I will automatically not say that they are right.
Yeah.
And I fail to understand why our government is rushing before involving stakeholders on this.
Right.
I'm very worried.
And of course, that were the sentiments of the Wiper Party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, saying that in as much as, yes, the GMOs might address the food crisis in the country, but in the long run, they might have devastating health effects to the citizens. Away from that, Kotonde, now let us look at the National Assembly and even the Senate. Today, they concluded, they rather had the first sitting where they passed the members who are nominated for the business committee leadership. And previous to this sitting being adjourned, whatever the sitting that we had on Thursday, we saw the member of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, adjourning the sitting because there were forms of disagreement on the majority and the minority leadership in the House. Where we saw what happened is that they said that the Kenya Kwanza had the majority in the House, and opposed to the Azimio la Umoja, who probably thought that they were the majority in the House. So what do you make of the whole ordeal? Because, it wasn't really satisfactory for the Kenya Kwanza, rather for the Azimio side, going with the minority when they had highly anticipated that they were the majority in the House.
First, I want to congratulate our leaders for having been elected at different positions. And I want this to be in the common mwananchi's mind. We had Kenya Kwanza, which comprised of amalgamation of parties. We also had Azimio, which also involved many parties. At the time of, if we start with presidential,
yes,
Azimio only filled presidential aspirant, that was Raila Amolo Odinga.
Yes, Azimio only had one candidate, that is the presidency, yes.
They only had one candidate. Apart from that, each and every zone they did zoning such that if you are from the Nyanza side or the west part of Kenya, you'll be going with the party of that area.
Right.
Like ODM carried the best part of Nyanza and Western.
Yeah.
When you go to the coast, the same applied.
Yes.
When you go to the Ukambani side, the Wiper carried the day.
Yes.
If you go to the central part, the Mount Kenya side, we had Jubilee, and if you go to Baringo side, we had some part of Kanu.
Yes.
Coming to Kenya Kwanza, UDA was the mother of all the parties.
Right.
And then if you check, out of these numbers, ODM had about 98 members. UDA had about 130 something voters.
41.
MPs. Now, coming back to the question you just asked, that was just part of UDA. Then if you check the other amalgamated parties forming Kenya Kwanza, they had 169, if I'm not wrong. Then, coming to Azimio, they had the least number. Therefore, in every mathematical context, the Kenya Kwanza are the ones who carried the day by having the numbers right from the beginning. Therefore, by virtue of them having the majority leaders, I have no problem with that. Because provided the numbers they have, as from the beginning, they are the right persons, are the right parties to have the majority leader.
But of course,
the same applies to Azimio.
Right.
Yeah, by virtue of them having the minority seats.
Well, the questions that were being asked, of course, during the sitting is that prior to what we saw, members who are elected in different parties crossing the floor, of course, moving to the side where the government is lying, that is the Kenya Kwanza. Initially, before the crossing, of course, of the floor started, the Azimio side had majority, but of course now that happened. So that, of course, leads us to the next question. If the government of the day has the, has the majority whip and the majority leader in parliament, the question of keeping this government into checks, how possible and how feasible will it be for the opposition who are having the only leadership position they're having in the houses are the minority leadership? They're not even in the speaker of the house and everything, in as much as this is supposed to be a neutral position. So how feasible and how possible is it for the opposition to keep checks in the government with few positions that they're having?
Maybe I can take you back shortly. In the 11th Parliament, which started in the year 2002, I remember, the then president, may his soul rest, Mwalimu Mwai Kibaki,
yes,
he didn't have many members. And at that time, and also if you go back to 1987, the members of the opposition were not many, but at that time they really kept the government of that day then on check. The same will still apply, but what I want to expect and what I want to tell Kenyans also is we must expect crossing of the floor.
Yes.
For those who will remain on the bench from the other side of opposition, it is their responsibility, no matter the number. But what they must expect is that the numbers must go down. Yes, because nobody will be willing. More so, the newly elected MPs, third-term MPs, second-term generals, they will automatically be crossing over because they really need to associate themselves with the government of the day and also get services to their people on the ground. So, in a nutshell, those who will remain as per the opposition will automatically carry out the day. Yes.
All right, impressive. Now, probably as we wind up, because of the interest of time, we have about 5 minutes. So, the question of the government fulfilling its promises. We have seen, of course, what the leader of opposition now, Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, saying that the government of the day used deception as a tool to win the hearts of Kenyans. And of course, probably you as a politician, because at some point you're also vying for an elective seat that some time back. So is it really true to say that deception is a weapon of mass destruction when it comes to winning these political seats? And of course that leads us to this question: the promises, the myriad of the promises, rather the many promises that were made by the government of the day, Kenya Kwanza, in trying to solve and to engage the common mwananchi with the bottom-up economic model. Is it something to go by? Is it something that will be achieved and Kenyans seeing the results of the decision they made on the ballot?
First, I want to say that we have two manifestos which are always presented to the common mwananchi. We have manifestos which are just said when we are on the campaign trail.
Yes.
But when it comes to real time, this is the real time we are now going through now. The manifesto which is said to Mama Mbogas is what they want to listen to.
Right.
What is it that the people of Kibra, what is it that the people of Endebess want to listen to?
Yes.
Yes. What is it that the people of Kajiado, deep down inside, what do they want to listen to?
Right.
That is what they are given. But when it comes to real issues, that is now what we are now seeing now, whereby we are seeing prices hiking.
The cost of living is
cost of living, you know.
Yeah,
that is the real
yes.
manifesto. But at the time our politicians are looking for votes, they can use the sweet words. It's just like when you're seducing a lady, you may not have what she wants really, but as time goes by, you can even tell her that you'll even buy the whole earth. At the end of the day, you will win the lady.
Right.
By winning the lady, when it comes to real life situation whereby we'll be living together with her, that's when you tell her that lady, this one I said, but it can't work right now.
Yes.
This one will work, but okay. But already at that time, maybe you are having kids,
Yes.
and therefore life will still go on.
Interesting.
What I want to say finally is, Kenyans, let us embrace ourselves and be ready to find it hard for the next 3 years or close to 2 years. Finally, I want to say something concerning the president. Our president is a symbol of national unity and is eligible to attend, visit, or even pay an abrupt meeting to any corner of this country. I want to condemn what happened when the president visited Homa Bay town constituency, Homa Bay County. As much as the president did not invite some members who are inclined to Azimio, by virtue of not attending the president's meeting is something which we don't want to see in this country. Because by the time you are fighting the government of the day, that means you are even fighting the development which that very, very government ought to bring to
that region.
That very, very region.
Right.
I want to urge all leaders elected in both corners, embrace the government of the day, bring opportunities to your people, fight for opportunities for your people also. Because the very, very fight you are having then is not now. This Kenya is greater than us, and we must bring it better than we found it.
Right.
Yes.
All right, and that's it, of course, for this discussion, the state of politics. We have had political analyst Kotonde. We are digging deep into what's happening in the political scene, and of course, a lot just for this